Good evening, everyone. It's a pretty live mic right there. I want to welcome you to our 2023 Florence High School Spring Band Concert tonight. We ask at this time, if you will, to please turn your cell phone ringers off and also turn down or off the volume on any other electronic devices that you might have with you tonight so that we do not distract from the performers during the performance tonight, and also to give the best experience possible to those around you. Students have been working really hard on this performance, so we would like it to be as enjoyable a performance as possible for everyone. Tonight we're going to be performing the three pieces that we performed at State Music Performance Assessment back in March, where the band received straight superior ratings, including a perfect score from one of the judges, as well as two new pieces that we added just for this concert tonight. Your program, if you were able to scan the QR code and get that, and if you didn't, they're by all the exterior doors back here in the back. You can get up and scan that. The program includes descriptions of each piece. As an added bonus tonight, immediately following the concert, performance by the concert band, we'll have our jazz band. They're already set up right over here. We'll just make a quick transition, let them get power turned on and warmed up real quick, and they'll do their performance. And then immediately following that, we'll transition over to the dome and watch our indoor percussion performance. This will be the first public performance of their show this year. What was to be their competition show, but due to several issues throughout the season, we ended up having all of our competitions for trips canceled for weather or transportation issues and that. So this will be the first public performance for them tonight. They've been working really hard on that show also. Before we begin, I do want to provide this disclaimer. We have several smart, talented, and really involved students on stage in this band program. They're to be commended for that. However, with that comes the challenge preparing for performances with some students absent sometimes. Over the last couple of weeks, we've had a number of activities that have involved a number of our students, from AP exams to state level competitions. And so because of all that, we've not actually had a rehearsal with fewer than 10 students out since back in April the 20th. In fact, over the last 2 weeks, starting with Monday, the 24th of April, we had 14 out, 20 out, 25 out, 17 out, no school due to staff development, 14 out, 15 out, 19 out, no band due to the school talent show, 10 out, and 29 out last Friday. So tonight could be a bit of an adventure, as some of these students have only had band for 1 to 2 days in the last couple of weeks. But we're still going to go forward, push forward with this music. Some really good tunes we've got prepared tonight. As I said, the three that we prepared for music performance assessment, as well as the two new ones. And both of these new ones that we've added are challenging pieces. You'll hear more about them as we go forward. Our first piece tonight is one that we did perform at music performance assessment. It's entitled The Nathan Hale Trilogy by James Curnow. Nathan Hale was an American patriot of the Revolutionary War, probably best known for his statement, "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country," just before he was hanged by the British at only 21 years of age. This piece is in 3 movements, and there's a description of each movement in your program. We just ask that you please hold your applause until the end of all 3 movements. This is Nathan Hale Trilogy. Our next piece, entitled Industrial, was written by Ian Allen Clark and Miguel Castro. Mr. Clark had the inspiration for this piece while driving down the small stretch of Interstate 85 in southern Alabama on his way to visit his friend and fellow composer Robert W. Smith at Troy University. He noticed a large pine tree that had been cut into smaller pieces of different lengths and began to think about his friend, professional percussionist Miguel Castro, and the different rhythmic patterns that he might come up with while using the different lengths and sizes of this wood. Mr. Clark then began to consider how he could contrast the primitive wooden sounds with the modern metallic industrial sounds of the vehicles speeding by. The collaboration between Mr. Clark and Mr. Castro originally created this work for solo percussionists with band accompaniment and featured Mr. Castro as the soloist. However, as time passed, it was believed that the piece could reach a broader audience if it was arranged for multiple percussionists and written at a high school level. So here's the piece originally written for professional percussionist Miguel Castro, Industrial. Next piece we'd like to perform tonight is called The River and the Rock. It's another one of our music performance assessment pieces, and this was written by David Schaefer and is subtitled The Tale of a City. It was written in 2019 about the city of Fitchburg, Massachusetts, which is located less than 60 miles from Boston, where Mr. Schaefer resides. It is based on 5 small tone poems, each in a different and contrasting style, representing the history of the city of Fitchburg. It was commissioned by the Fitchburg Military Band and their director, Bill Williams, to commemorate the band's 150-year history of providing music to the citizens of Fitchburg, and also to Mr. Carlton Thorne, who served as the director of the band for 45 of those 150 years. More of the story about this piece is provided in your program, but the title of The River and the Rock comes from the Nashua River, on whose banks the city was built, and the Rollstone Boulder, which for years was an attraction and gathering spot for the citizens of Fitchburg. This is The River and the Rock. Before we play our next piece, I'd like to take a moment to recognize a few people here tonight. If we could have some house lights, please. John, are you up there in the booth? There. Thank you. First of all, if you are an FCS administrator, central office personnel, or school board member, would you please stand to be recognized tonight? Oh, at least one or two here. We want to thank you for your continued support and help in keeping our band program running. Without you, we know that we would not have the funding sometimes that we need to keep going, and we just appreciate your support. If there are any FCS teachers, this does not have to be high school. This could be elementary, middle school, intermediate school, high school. If you're a teacher that has taught any of these students on this stage, would you please stand and be recognized? And this time I'd like to take a moment to thank a special group of people whose time and dedication have made it possible for the students on the stage to be here tonight, their parents. Without parents purchasing instruments, paying band fees, getting students to and from rehearsals and performances, what you see tonight and what you see throughout the year would not be possible. Would all those of you in the audience who are parents and have a student on this stage please stand and be recognized? I would also like to say a huge thank you to Mr. Russell Belote and Mr. Brian Jay for all that they do to help this program be successful. There is no way we could be where we are without all the hard work that these two gentlemen do, sometimes behind the scenes, sometimes out front. You're going to see products of both of their work here a little bit later on. Mr. Jay conducts our jazz band as our jazz band director, and then Mr. Belote does our indoor percussion. But again, and I think they're probably back in the back somewhere, but I'd like to thank them. If you would please give them a round of applause. And the last group of people I want to recognize is a group of people who are doing this thing right here tonight for their last time on this stage, our seniors. We have 14 seniors on the stage in front of you tonight. I want to ask them, when I call out their names, to please come and stand here on the front of the stage. And parents, if you would like to come get a close-up picture of them, you feel free to do so. Our seniors this year are Jacob Adams, Lucas Ford, John Grevins, Solana Hendrickson, Michaela Ingram, Destiny Irons, Jacob Lamb, Chelsea Marlin, Cameron Murphy, Hannah Stevens, Kara Swanson, Ellen Walker, Liz Williams, and Abby Wright. Let's give all of them a big round of applause. Thank you all. The next piece we'd like to perform tonight is one that I first heard several years ago at the Mississippi Bandmasters Association All-State Honor Band. In Shawn was composed by Robert W. Smith, an Alabama composer and professor at Troy University, And he was serving as one of the clinicians, or as the clinician for the top band, and introduced this piece there. It was shortly after he had written it. I've never forgotten the chill that came over me as I listened and was immersed in the setting of this piece. Like all the other pieces tonight, you can read more about the history behind it in your program notes, but I want to introduce it by saying this. The piece is designed to take you back to September 15th, 1950, on the banks of the Yellow Sea, on the outskirts of Seoul, South Korea, as the U.S. and UN forces, in support of the Republic of Korea, also known as South Korea, unleashed an attack on the North Korean army, which had previously attacked and occupied portions of South Korea, including the capital city of Seoul and all the territories around it, one of which was the city of Incheon. As the piece begins, you'll hear the peaceful sounds that you might hear on any other day near the ocean in South Korea. However, this peacefulness is soon erased as the sight and sound of approaching helicopters soon begins to overtake the sky. As tension builds, the troops who were dropped off by the choppers are well aware of the dangers that they are about to encounter. And sure enough, the battle ensues. Many lives are lost, and as the choppers return to collect the troops and then return to the ships waiting offshore, the day ends as peacefully as it began. Incheon was written in memory of Mr. Smith's father, Staff Sergeant Benjamin F. Smith, U.S. Army, who served in both the Korean War and the soon-to-follow Vietnam War. It is a tribute to all who served in these two wars. Many of you here tonight probably have a family member who served in one of these two conflicts. I personally had an uncle who served, it was a member of the Marines who served in Vietnam, came home injured from the Vietnam War and was awarded the Purple Heart. Many, however, were not so lucky. We would like to dedicate this piece tonight to all those who serve or have served in our armed forces, not just in these two conflicts, but in any war, who put their lives in harm's way to protect the freedoms that we and citizens of other countries hold so dear. had several of our students tonight that performed solos in each of the 4 pieces that we've had so far. They've done a really good job. If anybody's had a solo tonight, would y'all please stand and be recognized this time? Thank you so much for coming out tonight. We hope that you've enjoyed this music so far. And before we play our last piece, again, I want to ask you to please stick around. We'll make a quick transition for our jazz band over here. They'll play about 4 tunes, I think 4 or 5 tunes for us, and then we will move over to the dome for the indoor percussion group. The last piece that we're going to play is Larry Clark's Flying High March. Mr. Clark grew up a fan of the circus and loved the upbeat circus marches. Flying High is written in the same style as the marches that he grew up on. This is the march that we began our music performance assessment program with, but chose to end tonight's concert with. Henry Fillmore, who wrote a lot of circus-style marches that Mr. Clark loved to hear, used to say that they should be fast and fun. So we're going to kick it up a notch or two tonight with Flying High March.
Thank you so much. Wow, that's loud. Okay. Good evening. My name is Brian J. I am the band director at Florence Middle School. In addition to doing the middle school band, I also do the high school jazz band, which is on stage right here by the wings. We've got a collection of about 5 or so tunes we're going to perform for you this evening. The first one is a wonderful tune made famous by the Duke Ellington Band, one of his first big chart toppers on the radio, and has since become such a jazz standard that we just simply had to play it for you tonight this evening. We hope you enjoy Sea Jam Blues. Thank you so much. I'm not going to talk too long. I'm on these stairs up here. And as you can see, stairs and me don't usually agree. That was a fun tune, and our soloist on that last one, of course, was on tuba Cameron Murphy, back over there. And holding up the baritone voice over here in the low brass section, Miss Ellen Walker, back on baritone. This next tune we're going to feature is a jazz standard, of course, along the lines with Sea Jam Blues, but much later in the jazz career of musicians, there came along a musician by the name of Miles Davis, who, of course, is a pioneer in the jazz realm with different styles and idioms and doing all sorts of things to test the limits of what music really is. And I think it's so neat that such a great tune off of the album entitled Milestones, title track, of course. This is actually the first tune we started working on at our jazz camp back in January, and they completely surprised me at how well they read this tune, and it's really taken a lot of patience to get them to understand how important this music is. So, hope you enjoy this jazz standard by Miles Davis entitled Milestones. And once again, as you guys probably already know, Cameron Murphy on tuba, Matthew Strickland on saxophone. A couple months ago, before we after we got back from spring break, we kind of treat our jazz band as sort of like musical ambassadors. Along with our indoor percussion ensemble, we were very fortunate enough to do some elementary tours around our school system, as well as numerous performances at different high school events. Our Black History program back in February, our talent show hosted, of course, by Ms. Gonzalez and the fashion department. So we've had a lot of time to perform and a lot of tracks and a lot of different tunes to work on. But this one we definitely geared toward our elementary school students. And it's really a tune that you'll instantly recognize if you're a fan of PBS. And we hope you enjoy the Sesame Street theme. On vibraphone, Lily Peck, and of course again on baritone, Ellen Roder. Hope you enjoy Route 66. music tonight. My only wish is that we'd have these chairs here, so if you wanted to dance, you could. Of course, I was telling the kids, that's how jazz kind of started. People needed something to dance to. So if you feel the urge to dance right in here, no one's going to judge you at all. Okay? They might feel, but they're kids. This last tune is going to feature quite a number. We have so many great musicians on stage here, and I'm not going to list them all, but you'll recognize them. Of course, if you've got friends or your children up here. We're going to close out the jazz band segment with a fun Latin tune entitled Bésame Mucho. And then featured back on the tune before we had Jack Cho on guitar, 166.